Well, it's exciting to be starting these Wednesday night calls and also Thursday night calls. We're going to do the getting started on Thursdays, and we're excited for everyone to begin to plug in here. You know, we've already got some great other calls going on at the 7:30 time frame, and I know that people have been really happy to be plugging in there. And we're excited about what we have to offer here too, and think as we all work together, we're going to do a lot for this hope movement.
Yes. What's happening at 7:30?
Well, tonight was Ann Smith on b1n2.org.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know for sure who will be on tomorrow night.
Hi, Marlene. This is Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. Glad you made it. Glad you made it on.
Thank you. We're
excited about some things you have to share with us tonight. And we're just waiting as people learn our new time frame, because nobody's used to this 9 o'clock on Wednesday yet. So we had some people getting on at 8 o'clock, and we even had some people getting on at 7 o'clock. So we've been kind of monitoring the lines here to kind of redirect people to get back on for the 9 o'clock call. It'll take a minute to get used to everything, but you know, we're off and running. I see Daniel is on. Welcome, Daniel. We're glad that you were able to join us tonight. I think you've been on a couple of times here. You've been very patiently waiting for us. It's been kind of a busy week, and we're just excited to be busy. And we're excited to see everyone plugging in here. Very quickly, I think people will be muted out, but let me remind you, we have the chat that you can open up it's on your bar below if you put your cursor down there, and we can communicate that way. And if you can think of someone that maybe you mentioned this to and you'd like to get a last minute reminder, we've got time for that. We have just a couple of minutes.
Give me just a couple of minutes as we get going here, and I've got some people sending me some text messages, so I'll make sure people are understanding how to get connected. It's new to some people here from Marlene's. It was new to me too.
Right. Well, we are breaking new ground and excited to be doing it. I better check my text messages as well. Good idea.
Ooh. I just saw that there is an invite on the bottom of this page that can go to your messages.
Hello, Mark from Norman. Glad to see you on.
Marlene, I think we're right up about 9 o'clock right now. Give us about a minute here as I answer a couple of these text messages. And so, how you doing, everybody? I see everybody out there. So a lot of you have your videos turned off, and that's okay. Sometimes we don't feel we're that great on video, but that's okay. You know, I guess this is the best we're going to get connected for a while. So bear with me, Marlene. We'll get going here in just a minute.
Okay, sure. Glad to. Hey, Kim. Kim from New Hampshire, welcome to the call tonight. Appreciate you getting on. Mary from Texas, welcome. Really glad that you're able to get on. Want to remind everyone maybe to send out a last minute text to people you know that might be able to jump on hopemovement.live, just like you got on. And we're excited to be able to share these products with you tonight. I know for me, I have an extreme appreciation for them because of where I was 3 years ago. Some of you know, and I'm not there anymore. I'm in a much better place. Hey, Shalene, welcome. Appreciate you getting on. Lisa, hi. Glad you got on. Glad you're able to.
About that time.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Go ahead, we can get things started here.
Okay.
Let me make sure I can use this screen share, and Marlene, if you'll stay with me, make sure everything works fine. I know that I'm not exactly your techno expert. I'm more of a techno idiot, but if I can do this, well, I can tell you anybody can do this. Are you beginning to see my screen here, Marlene? Let me expand this a little bit. So do you see me okay?
I do.
That's good. Well, I just want to welcome everybody. I know that we're all in kind of a unique time right now, and I've had to kind of learn how to do this. And we've been doing conference calls for literally years and years. And so we're stepping into new technology. We've done this a few times last week, kind of some trial runs, and I appreciate those of you that participated. I know we've got story here, an incredible mission. I mean, there's just so many incredible parts to this. What we're going to attempt to do, and first of all, I'd like to commend if any of you had a chance to see the presentation earlier this evening at 7:30 Central Time with Craig Smith and Dr. Ann Smith, his wife. What an incredible couple. What an incredible business partner. If you want to look at it that way, he's partners with all of us. And so Craig and Ann have been here for years, even before Sam and Steve joined this movement together. They've been with Evolv and, have certainly been very successful. So the good thing that we're doing right now is we've got calls going on just literally around the clock. I know Danny Morgan and her husband Brian are doing some afternoon calls with their groups. And, so leaders are looking at how we can just sit down and begin to help everybody in a whole different world, because that's right where we're at. So I don't want to elaborate a whole lot on that, but, everybody's attention has been kind of shook lately. And if you want to know the truth, in my opinion, well, my heart goes out to all the people that have had their jobs so impacted. I mean, from literally Uber drivers to servers and wait staff and, people that are probably considered non-essential businesses and all. I mean, that's just a matter of opinion, but in today's world, it's defined a whole different way. And so, it's just an incredible time. And yet when I think about it for a minute, I see it's an incredible time in a good way in some ways. It's time we all sat down and really took a hard look at what's going on and the way lives are going and the things have been. And, because, I heard somebody say what's been going on and the way we've been is what brought us here today. And so, yes, the world is going to change dramatically. We go back to what we used to do. Not quite the same, but, in more or less, I believe in a more effective, cautious way. So it's probably what that myself and Judy, we needed, because a lot of times, over the years, we've gotten a little more complacent. And so it's made us just stop and think about a lot of things too. And families are coming together, and I hear there's a lot of arguments and spinism like they are now. So, I just pray everybody just works it out, because I think there's a big move going on in the world today to put people back in place and families back in place. When we talk about Evolvhealth and the Hope Movement, that's exactly what we do. We work with people, and our Hope Movement started years ago. We're literally a movement of, over 25 years now that has been in the role of serving children. And one thing led to another that brought us to who we are today with Evolvhealth. And here in just a few weeks, we're going to transition as one into a place that really nobody has ever been before. So when we talk about Evolvhealth, our story of hope, and what we consider to be social business, and there's a lot of good examples of that. There's Tom Shoes, Warby Parker. One I like to highlight is Bombas Socks, giving socks to the homeless, which is certainly not a garment you can give used. And so that's one of the most needed, requested items by the homeless. And what a mission to, really help them with something so important that maybe we just take for granted. So that's what social business does. It collectively taps into the marketplace, the passions of the marketplace, to drive a cause and to serve people, in all wide, not just somewhere in the world, but right here. When we're serving children, one question I get asked all the time, well, what about our kids right here in America? Believe me, we work hard at serving our children right here also. And that's kind of more our job than it is the companies when you think about that. But we are also partnering up with, certain established relief organizations that do and have been qualified to serve children in the U.S. And they have actually come to the Hope Movement value of what we offer these children. So, there's just a lot going on here. So let me just move on and look at Evolv. Our goal and our dedicated childhood malnutrition. It's not just malnutrition with children. It's literally see around the world. It's not just classic right here. It's all of us and the foods that we consume today. And, I mean, literally, we see it in our children. 1 out of 4 is overweight to the point they just can't function normally sometimes. And I'm not being critical, but malnutrition is showing up in all kinds of ways. It's simply because the body doesn't get the vital things that it needs so that it's able to function the way God designed it. And so when we look at the problems here and all, well, even the CDC, the Centers for Disease Controls and Prevention, and I know this slide is a little fuzzy, but it means a lot. When you look at the top 10 things that are taking our lives, are literally, for the most part, 8 out of 10 of them related. When you look at, everything, heart disease and cancer and all the other things that, people are dying from, look at the literally hundreds of thousands of people, with all kinds of problems that are literally being traced back to problems in the diet, things the body is lacking. When you look at nephritis, nephrotic syndrome, and nephrosis, number 9 down there, really what that is pertaining to is kidney failure. One side effects of pharmaceutical and other forms of medications and drugs and things. And so I got to tell you something, it's showing up everywhere. And so we got to ask ourselves, how's this working for us? And you look at those other 2, accidents and unintentional or intentional self-harm, suicide. A good friend of mine, Shannon Wolf, as a flight medic and EMT, says that when he shows up, a lot of times, these accidents and things that he is first on the scene at, there's sometimes and a lot of times a pharmaceutical drug involved. So I'll tell you, it's still playing itself out no matter how you look at it. I can just stay right there a long time, but I think most people realize there's a lot of problems in here. Today we're focused on the issue, this coronavirus, no doubt about that. But that, didn't erase cancer overnight. It didn't erase struggles and diabetes and all these other problems still, with beyond belief. So let me move on here. Our story, a funny little called Aloe Vera, an ingredient called Acemannan. Now we all know about Aloe Vera. Vera is the stone of ancient medicine. It was carried into battle back in the times of Alexander the Great. In fact, it's mentioned, over 4 times in the Bible. And when you think about that, you got to ask why. Well, we've known about it. It's the most noted healing plant in history. So, but in 1985, through the work of a couple of researchers that were commissioned by a group of investors, they actually commissioned these 2 researchers, pharmacologists, to actually look at that plant, and at this pharmaceutical lab, Carrington, they spent millions and millions of dollars to literally identify what that active component was. And purely by accident, by the 80s, they actually discovered a long chain, what is known as a polysaccharide, like a pearl necklace of sugars. Now, not sugar like I'm thinking, of course, my wife was a diabetic. When I first heard about this, my interest was, what could this do to help her? So I first came down this road beginning to hear some of this and this discovery of Acemannan. And, when I heard sugar, I stopped in my tracks. But this is not a sugar. These are particular sugars that are found not only in the aloe vera, but the human body actually makes to some degree some of them. And, so when you look at these particular sugars, they're not like the sugars we think of. So when you look at that polysaccharide, that pearl necklace, there were great big size molecules, there were medium size, and there was little bitty sizes. And they all we now know exactly what those medium, those small, and those big chains actually do in the human body. See, the big thing was that Dr. Santiago Rodriguez, the PhD chemist, one of those 2 gentlemen that was commissioned to look into that plant, he actually identified and perfected a way to stabilize that. Because we all know that aloe works great when it's fresh right off the plant. We break that leaf off, but over a few hours, it just gets all hard and it dries up and it no longer works. And so they knew that. It was only active in the plant. So he developed a way to stabilize that where it could actually be consumed and utilized and, yes, tested, at later dates. And so that's where they begin with this. And that was where the first stabilized form of Acemannan went on the market. It was actually given to a man by the name of Sam Castor, who had a unique ability as a business entrepreneur at bringing new technologies to market, a way to break into the public with something that, was abnormal as to what people were used to. And so that's where it began back in 1994. So let me just move on. You know, to date, Dr. Santiago Rodriguez has given the latest generation of this formula of stabilized Acemannan to this movement, and I'll touch more on that just a little bit later. So research now has shown that there are 3 major mechanisms of support. You know, those little bitty fractions I mentioned, they allow the body to build structures that allow the cells to function and communicate throughout the body. You know, the large fractions actually go straight to the gut that are converted to short chain fatty acids. They feed good bacteria in the gut. And you know, the medium chains do something very unique, referred to as activating the macrophage. And that right there is your front line of defense. So when I move on, you know, these short chains I mentioned, these little bitty ones, you know, when I talk about cellular communication and building these structures, you know, cells communicate their needs. You know, a cell that's damaged might say, repair me, or, you know, if it's lived its life or something, it says destroy me, or maybe protect me. It's being invaded, and regulate me, you know, because it's hormonally out of balance, and nourish me. Maybe it needs, you know, more calcium. It's a bone cell or something, but cells communicate those needs, and they communicate that and allow them to, you know, function, regenerate, and do all the things that they're designed to do. So we know that, and that's, you know, structures that really is referred to as the sweet language of life. We also know, let me just make this a little clearer, you know, we communicate through the English language, and the English language is made up of sentences and words are made up of letters that are made up of 4 raw materials: a long line, a short line, a big curve, and a small curve. And those 4 raw materials actually, you know, build or construct 26 letters that allow us to communicate. And so, you know, the human body uses these particular sugars, or these carbohydrates, or as the National Academy's Press calls them, glycans, which is a Greek word for sugar. But they use them to build these biochemical structures that allow the body to communicate biochemically. Let me explain this a little further. You know, here's a word, and it can't be read easily because, you know, it doesn't communicate well, because this word is missing, this 4-letter word is missing 1 raw material. And so when I put that missing component back in, we go from a level of miscommunication to a level of communication. And when it comes to good health in the body, sometimes it's just the body's ability to realize what it needs to do and carry out its normal function, because the human body is a very unique temple that is designed to heal itself. We all know that. You know, this little area of cellular communication I'm referring to, you know, there's been over 7 Nobel Prizes in medicine and physiology, beginning with the first in October of '99, for even alluding to what I'm talking about right now. And of course, back then, they didn't know what these components were. They referred to them as an address or zip code of molecules that allow the body to communicate at the cell level. Today, we know what they are, and we know where they come from. And there's something more unique that happens. You know, science, the American Association for the Advancement of Science, March 23rd, 2001, volume 291, Science Journal devoted the entire journal to what I'm just explaining right now, and explained that when cells turn against the body, as in degenerative and autoimmune types of dysfunctions, you know, research has shown that sugars are missing from their glycoprotein structures. Literally, missing sugars spell disaster. And the articles in this journal right here are titled things such as Saving Lives with Sugar. And it's very visible right there on the cover. You know, something very unique is that of all these sugars that were found, these 8 particular sugars that are built in these chains to allow the body to build these structures, you know, one particular sugar, which is the majority of this, is a particular sugar called mannose. And mannose very uniquely is found in just a couple of places on the earth. And one is in aloe vera, and the other one is in mother's breast milk. It is actually produced by mama during the gestational period. And something unique is a lot of times when a female is dealing with an autoimmune types of dysfunction, in some cases will go into remission when she becomes pregnant. And it's believed that possibly because this high level of mannose is being produced in the body, and it's being pumped through the umbilical cord to the fetus for the expression of all genetic activity. So from there, we know that when that baby's born, it comes through mother's breast milk and is the solids that cannot be duplicated into formulas, and is literally the spark of life for a baby's immune system. And we don't need to elaborate much there. We know the value of mama's breast milk. So I just find that fascinating. When you think of where God would put the perfect food, and all of this begins to tie together. For me, that was like an aha moment. When we look at these macrophage activation that I'm talking about, these medium chains are sent right into the digestive tract. They're extracted and sent right to the liver for the activation of these macrophages, these large white blood cells that are made in the bone marrow. And their function is, well, I call them the night watchman. Macrophage is a Greek word. It means big eater. And their whole function is to go through the body looking for, bad cells, things that don't belong in the body, etc. And they're designed to take charge of that, to kill them and get them out of the body. They're our front line of defense in the immune function. Let me elaborate just a little bit on this. On this left slide, you'll see, an infected issue where, there's been a pathogen, a virus or a toxin, a bacteria that has, invaded the body. And the macrophage, as you can see, that big purple cell, and right underneath it, something referred to as a dendritic cell. These are immune cells, and they're looking for these pathogens, these invaders. And when they come into the body, they are coated with these little green molecules, as you see them, known as mannose. And on the surface of each of these immune cells are these mannose receptors, and they're looking for that. And when they see that, they orchestrate destruction. Phagocytes come in and they encircle, encapsulate, and literally just engulf and kill that pathogen and carry it right on out of the body. At least that's what's supposed to happen. The same thing we see in cancers is where the body recognizes those degenerative cells that are not regenerating correctly, allowing the macrophage to recognize them and take action when necessary. It's been proven and shown that in some cases when these sugars are missing, that it allows these bad cells to proliferate. The proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, January 22nd, 2002, talked about missing sugars, that, when missing sugars are altered and replaced at the cell level, it allows the body to recognize and reduce tumor growth. But it took 16 years later, when Nature's Journal actually published in November of 2018, that in fact, the only way for the body to utilize this unique component called mannose was to swallow it, that only through an oral ingestion could the body utilize it correctly. And that's just the way the body was made. So, there's a little more of an explanation, and I could continue on. But there's a meta-analysis of over 100 peer-reviewed published studies on Acemannan, talking about mechanisms of action, integrative health support mechanisms, and certainly the safety and efficacy of this incredible molecule, probably the #1 most researched molecule on the planet. Today I'll just leave you with this. Research has shown that it enhances macrophage activity as much as 10-fold. You certainly want that. Stem cell production is enhanced as much as 300 to 400%. That's something amazing that a lot of people don't even know. Your own body produces, new stem cells in the bone marrow, and through the activity of Acemannan and the body's ability to communicate, it can actually stimulate even that production to assist the body in rebuilding other areas that are necessary. Wound healing, we all know the value of aloe vera, but just the Acemannan in itself can speed wound healing by as much as 35%. Antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial. I think you just saw that on the previous slide. So when we look at the value and everything we're looking at to fight today, and even researchers and medical professionals alike were telling us even before this virus that as we lean forward in the future here, the #1 thing we have to fear are these new forms of superbugs. So there you go. It aids in absorption of nutrients and water in the GI tract, supports proper vascular flow, proper cognitive function, and not to mention recovery from exercise and performance. So, it's just amazing. Now, let me get back to this formula. Dr. Rodriguez, who developed the very first formula that he dubbed and named Mannapol. Back then, the best method was to extract it all, and through a solvent-based process, they were able to get what they could with as much of the immune activating fractions, and they really didn't know which ones did what. Today, with new science, we know which ones do what, and through a very unique water filtration method, no solvent, no carbon, nothing but pure filtered water, we're able to extract a tremendous amount more and actually focus on the immune activating fractions that are so important. You can see right there on the graph. were literally 5.6 times more potent than the original formula, and literally at about half the price in production. So it's a double whammy when it comes to much better and, you know, priced competitively. So, you know, for Judy and I, we saw a tremendous increase in benefit as well as a reduction in what we were spending from the first generation to where we're at today. And that generation, and, you know, Mr. Castor gave, you know, quite a chunk of money, millions of dollars, to just have the right to that first formula called Manipole. And over the course of just a number of years, produced hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. And to date, that publicly traded company can take claim to billions of dollars in this stabilized aloe market. And so when we look at where we're at today, Dr. Rodriguez, realizing that we are here to serve children, every single bottle of Immune you buy will serve a child one for one. And so he and his wife made a decision to gift this entire technology, and the very best technology that he could even develop in the future, that we have the exclusive right to this unique, very best formula. We call that bottle of Immune. And there's many ways to take advantage of getting this Immune. And, you know, I've spent a long time just talking about the Immune tonight. And so I'm going to just skip real fast through many other things. And on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time, our main intent is to literally be in a position where we can focus a little bit more on each of the products that I'm going to skip through right now. So I want people to understand, you know, this is the flagship. This is the unsung hero in every one of the products that we have. I say unsung because it's integrated into every product we have and probably puts every product we have in a league of its own, even if it wasn't there. So, you know, let me move on. We have a unique product called Evolv Entourage Squared. It's a combination of a very unique formula of the hemp oil with this unique aloe. And we've done something very unique in being able to get an oil-based component and a water-based component together. So when we look at the what is referred to as the endocannabinoid system, it's the master regulator of health. And there's many receptive or CB1 receptors and CB2 receptors on different parameters of the body that activate things such as memory and mood, sleep and pain, energy and balance, immune function, metabolism, and your anti-inflammatory response. So that is the system built into the human body, and the benefits we see are obviously shown here on the screen. And it activates these different parameters of organ function. So when we look at this unique formula, we use something called nanotechnologies. You know, in 2001, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, in their technology review, said that there were 10 technologies that would change the world that we live in. 2 of those top 10 are mentioned tonight. One is the study of glycomics, or these interactive sugars in human physiology that I just covered concerning Acemannan, and research that led to ultimate research in the role of sugars in the human body. But it also talked about nanotechnology. And that's the ability to take an oil-based formula and reduce it in fractions to the point it becomes what's called hydrophilic. It actually bonds to the hydrogen in water. And what that means, being that blood is close to 90% water, in fact, 87% on the average of the human body is made of water. And so to get something transferred into the blood is seriously important, because that's called bioavailable. And so a lot of these hemp oils and these CBD isolates and all, they literally don't transfer into the blood, and they don't give but about a 10% benefit of what they should. You know, we look at full spectrum, and that's just another formula that processes the entire hemp plant along with terpenes, et cetera. And, you know, some of those can actually have trace amounts of THC, even though they can claim 0 THC. We use more of a broad spectrum nanotechnology and have combined this very unique Acemannan technology with it. And by doing so, this Acemannan is a symbiotic or synergistic type of molecule. It just actually gives it a multi-faceted effect. It just multiplies everything almost tenfold. And so that's what we saw when we were using with the first original formula. Until we added the Acemannan to it, it just sent everything straight through the ceiling. So that is unique enough. It was actually a patent-pending formula. It's organic hemp oil, supercritical CO2 extraction process, a full broad spectrum with certificate of analysis, 0.0% THC. We can prove 0 for our great medical professionals, military transportation drivers, people of that nature that have to be tested and may not come up with anything illicit in their system. So you got to be careful some of these CBDs because they'll show up hot on a drug test. And we, of course, guarantee that our entourage will not do that. And we have it adequately tested thoroughly before it hits the shelf. Absorption is increased over 5 to 7% or 5 to 7 times over other forms of hemp products with a water compatible nanotechnology. And all of that has brought it to being rated by Canna Mexico as the #1 innovative product for 2019 internationally in the cannabis field. And that was a very unique award that we got there. So let me just continue on. You know, Dr. Renee Herte with the Dream for the Cure Research Foundation for Cancer Research. And let me just give her quote. Our search for the most scientifically advanced technologies for optimal immune and endocannabinoid system support led us to Evolvhealth. Their unique immune modulating Aloe Vera Acemannan technology represents the best science I've found for immune system support. And when combined with highly bioavailable broad spectrum hemp oil, it provides an unprecedented integrative health strategy. And I'll just leave that right there. You can read the rest for yourself. But let me tell you what that means. You're talking about the leading researchers and scientists today know the value of Acemannan, and they in particular know the value of our immune. And so through her research and what she has done in immunotherapy research, she has found that her patients with a better functioning immune system seem to do better. And boy, don't you know that. And so she looked for the best integrative health support that people could take and consume to better support their immune systems as they battle this devastating disease. And so what does that say to all of us? You know, if this is picked by the very best as the very best immune system support, and you know, that's something I'm not hearing on the news. I'm not hearing anything about the best immune system support. I'm hearing a lot about how to protect ourselves from getting it. Well, what if we do? And what if our immune system is compromised? So when we think about that a minute, for me, that means everything. And we have that stamp of approval that I think nobody to date can say. From there, I'm going to touch on a product called Limitless. It is a pure Betalin discovered in the beet, which actually through Cornell University and doing studies found that that was the very most potent form of antioxidant that could be had. You know, so from there, we know that the problem with beet is that over 70% by volume is sugar. And so that we've got a unique formula that is able to extract the pure Betalin with zero sugar, a very unique patent pending protected product. You know, inflammation in the human body is referred to as the silent killer. It's involved in every form of disease and dysfunction that you can relate to. It's the first sign of immune response that in fact turns to be a chronic issue because nothing is just working right. The value of that product is, you know, immense. From there, I talk on a product called Balance, something that is a natural food component, an ingredient discovered in the wild yam known as diosgenin, I can't hardly say that, but it's an active ingredient that allows our body to balance and produce hormones upon demand. It is not an additive. It does not give you an additional hormone additive. It is not a product of any kind like that. It's just merely a food precursor that allows our body to build hormones upon demand. And I'll tell you, we call it our mad, sad, happy, glad pill because it gets people off of that roller coaster. And I know we talk about, you know, female hormonal related issues and guys experience that if our females are going through those problems. And we understand that, but, you know, they can turn around and laugh right at us too, because, you know, our anger, our temperaments, our stress and things like that can all be tied to a dysfunctioning endocrine system. And so, you know, getting people up off the couch and out of that depressed mode just sometimes involves supporting the endocrine system adequately. You know, even pain-related issues, a lot of times it's a hormonal issue where the body's not producing a particular hormone called an endorphin. And that's how your body regulates and helps you with pain at times. So a lot of issues can come from many things, not just one product for one particular issue. So, you know, as I continue on here, we know about a product called Daily, a fermented format of vitamins, minerals, and trace elements with an active live form of bacteria encapsulated within the capsule to be released in the gut, so that you've got the active live bacteria, acid activated forms of enzymes, literally a whole food component in a capsule. We can also find that same active component in in a vegan-friendly shake with no GMO, gluten-free. In fact, all of our products are gluten-free, no GMO. There are no synthetics in any product that is produced by Evolvhealth that I'm showing you tonight. And so when you look at these particular products, they're, what I'm looking at right now in the daily and also our shakes are considered our food-based programs, our nutritional programs. When I look at Immune, I look at Entourage, I look at Limitless and Balance, I look at those as key human physiological support products. I don't even know how to best say that. But when you look at supporting the body, there's really 7 areas you need to pay attention to. Number 1 is communication. Number 2 is activation. Number 3 is regulation. Number 4 is regeneration. When you look at nutrition and digestion, that's in the areas of, what we consider our daily and our food programs that we have to offer here. And so from there, we go right into hydration, and I'll leave you with that tonight. We also have our friendly food bars. Those are incredibly good. The only thing they don't have that the shakes and the daily have is that live encapsulated bacteria, simply because the moistness of the bars tend to break down that, and it kills the shelf life on the bars. So, that's exactly, what we have to offer here. And know that every single product, every box of bars, every bottle of daily, Balance, every bottle of Entourage, Immune, any product and every single product serves a child 1 for 1. And from there, I leave you with supporting hydration and energy and performance and stress with 2 key products, one in particular called Fix, that is really my favorite. You just add it to a bottle of water, and the same with the product called Fuel, which has the electrolytes and things that actually classify it as a clean energy drink. What a great alternative to some of this junk people find at convenience stores, these energy drinks and all. So that's, really what we have to offer with Evolvhealth. I've skipped through the last of it pretty quick just to save time, but just know this: when you look at supporting, the Immune and the Entourage and the Balance and the Limitless and, either a bottle of daily or you choose any of the rest of the food programs, and along with good hydration enhanced with either Fix and Fuel, you're going to find the very best nutrition that science has to offer. And collectively, when we put it all together, we call that Reboot. It's just like rebooting the computer. And our goal is to get the human body off of sugar and onto good, healthy fats, onto good, moderate proteins, and obviously no GMO, gluten-free, and nothing but pure whole food ingredients, no synthetics and all of that. So it's time to get the body back, giving it what it was designed to have, to get it to do what it's designed to do. And you know what? Rebooting is the best way to start trimming up inches, because when you get the body to burning fat like it's designed, instead of being those yo-yo sugar burners, which that's losing fat and putting it back on, losing it and putting it back on. And that's exactly what sugar does to us. It puts us on that yo-yo. So we've got to get the body back to burning fat and building lean muscle. A lot of times people don't want to lose a lot of weight because they might be real thin. And that's okay. Building lean muscle will add some tone and some weight to a person there also. So last but not least, I'm just going to leave you with the Hope Pops. It's probably the most popular product I've ever seen in years. Literally no sugar, no artificial sweeteners, no artificial colors, over 50% of the daily vitamin C, pure soluble fiber, and over 50 milligrams of the daily amount of Acemannan, literally, that we serve children with on a daily basis in orphanages around the world. And to date, I can't even begin to tell you the lives that have been changed by that amount of that ingredient in children that, it'd break your heart to see the conditions they live in and what they go through. And they may not be, dealing with a lot of issues like we see in cancers and autoimmune, but, their little bodies can't even fight off simple viruses and bacteria. And look at today and where our bodies are at. So I got to tell you something, that right there is the best attention getter. I mean, people are buying literally by the cases, and we almost can't keep them in stock. Being the quality of food that we have and the quality of ingredients and the products and the way they're produced, just know this: we fall into the essential, that the manufacturer is able to continue to supply our products and produce them, and to continue to allow them to be shipped. And we thank God for that. To date, Evolvhealth and the Buy One, Nourish Two platform of social giving have donated, this slide says 21, we have just passed 24 million servings of whole food nutrition to children in need all over the world. So I've kind of gone through this a lot tonight, and I'm going to kind of close that screen down just a little bit. In fact, I'm going to shut the screen off and open this all back up a little bit. And, you know, I just appreciate everybody for being a part of this. And Marlene, are you still with me here?
I am, Jeff.
I didn't know if we had any questions come up. Anybody has raised their hand possibly. And so just I'll ask you and turn this over to you for a minute if you got any comments.
Well, I just want to thank you so much because what a fantastic job you did. You always do. I just love how you put those things together. I know how important the products are to me, and I just love other people being able to understand them a little bit better and to hear them and you know, maybe think of their neighbor or someone. If somebody has questions, you're welcome to unmute yourself and come on and ask, or possibly type it in the chat. I haven't seen any questions yet.
Tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central Time, we'll meet again at hopemovement.live. We'll touch on how to sit down and share with somebody how to become a social business partner, how to get started at whatever level is best for them, and to show them how to begin to get their movement moving. So this really isn't as hard as it might seem. In fact, it's very, very simple. But the heart of everything we do are these products I've just shared with you. And I can tell you something, for Judy and I, over 20 years ago, that's all we wanted to know was, is this real? Do these products really work? You know, I know we're formulating a together call on Tuesdays. We're going to refer to as Testimony Tuesday. I know Vera Malone has done an incredible job at pulling people together, sharing the testimonies of people that have been impacted by our products. And so I just commend her for doing that. And, you know, her calls are being recorded, and we're going to be coordinating with her, hopefully, to pull even more together so that we can come together for Testimony Tuesday. We can explain more about our products every night at 9 p.m. Central Time, or every week at Wednesday. And of course, Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time, we're going to talk about how to sit down and get started and put this movement together. So just stay in touch. And those that are already connected, make sure you keep everybody else, you know, connected, because right now, I think that's what we need, is just to be connected. So I just appreciate all of you. There's no last minute comments or questions, or if anybody wants to raise their hand, you're more than welcome, and we'll answer any questions you may have. If not, all I can say is, may God bless you indeed. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. That was very good. Thank you. Hello, Marlene.
Hey, Saran. Good to see you.
Yes, yes. Great to see you too. You look great, by the way.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, we don't see each other for a few weeks, and everybody's looking pretty good. I miss everybody.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah, Paul had a question about who that guy was.
It's my brother. That's my brother. Yeah.
Oh, that, yeah.
I'm on quarantine, no shaving for a while. At least that was my idea. I don't know if it's going to stick or not.
Hey, it looks good on you.
Yeah,
well,
I think so.
I was going to have to show up on Zoom, so I appreciate that, Saran. It's a nice comment, but
I do like it. I like it.
Just what I needed. But
you're gonna feed his ego. He'll keep growing it the rest of the year.
You look quite distinguished.
So Jeff, I do have a question. Can I share this video presentation with someone else?
Not more than 100 times a day. I'm sorry. That's the limit.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Hey,
we will post a replay for tonight's video. I'm recording it, and we'll share it as quick as we can.
Okay, great. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'll leave all of you with this. Just know this. I work for every one of you, except for Steve. I might not work for him, but I work for every one of you all. And you know, your business is my business. And so I don't call the shots, you do. So how can I better serve? How can I best serve? You got to tell me that. I'll just do the best I can with what I do. But we all come to this table with a talent, and that's what God says. We've got to invest our talents. And I think this is how we do this, is for whatever little bit of good we may have and skill or whatever it is, talent, well, let's put that to work here. You know, we can, like they say, nobody can sponsor everybody, but everybody can be sponsored by somebody. And, you know, when we think 2 by total volume, it might be just those 2 that, you know, we're called to reach. And so I just want to put that on everybody to know that we've got that talent. We know, and it might take a while, but we don't need to be experts. We just need to know, and knowing lets us just touch other people. But if you don't know, that's the best position you're in, because that's when you can say, man, I don't know, but you got to see this. You got to hear this, and your intensity and your persistence. And it's the 2 and 3 and 4 times that will make that dent where people go, maybe I ought to look at this. And I'm the guy that took 5 months to get to look into this. I'm the guy that basically I was told to forget about it. He was just tired of talking to me. And that's a true story. But he had my attention. I just was being obnoxious and almost combative about it, because I just couldn't believe that this could be real. And, you know, 20 plus years later, I'm here telling you it's still real. So it's just better, it's cheaper, it's more potent, and has much more purpose. So God bless Sam for doing this, and Steve for being his right arm at times. I know that we're all here because of them. And, you know, I just feel blessed. So, but we can all feel that same blessing if we'll just get busy here, because it's time to make this happen. It's, you know, people are out here, you know, on their knees crying and praying, wondering, what do I do? What do I do next? And it's our job.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night. See
Good
you
night.
tomorrow night. See you tomorrow night. It's going to be great.
Amen.